When we think about the crimes and atrocities and injustices of the past, I think too little do we consider the possible link between our ideologies, our beliefs, our justifications, and the things that were done. Too often, too easily, it seems like we just ride them off by saying, oh, well, that was really terrible, but at least we don't do that anymore, or it was just one bad apple. People make mistakes even, but we leave it at that. I had recently asked the question of whether or not, or in what ways, do we think that our beliefs about religion and God, in what ways that is in alignment with our beliefs and our values. And I think that's a really important question that I continue to ask myself. But in some ways, I think it's more of a check-in to see if what I'm saying that I believe about God and religion, what does that say about what I believe and value? And I think that an argument has been made that it is not a question of how, but it's an assumption that our beliefs about God and religion is going to influence us, our beliefs and our values. And it's whether or not we see it or not, and in what ways it shows up. It's been said that God is another name for everything. Or the way that I look at that is God is the lens through which we see the whole of our reality. And if that's true, it stands to reason that if we can have accounts of our God committing genocide, we can even use those words and justify it and say, oh, well, it's God, so he can do it and he has his reasons. Well, what impact does that have on our beliefs and our values and what we can justify? Maybe we don't go on to commit acts on such a large scale even, but on a smaller level, what sorts of traumas and abuses do we inflict on others? And just rather than holding ourselves accountable, just justify it and say, well, I was just doing what God told me to do. They are, non-believers, and so it gives me permission to do these things. In what ways do our beliefs perhaps allow us to dehumanize people and not create room and space for them? And how often is it easy to dismiss them? These are things that I've been thinking about, and has a lot to do with why I've been trying to look at and see about interpreting my scripture differently, because I don't want to be compromising on these points, because I believe that we can never really justify violence and trauma and abuse.